I am a sculptor predominantly, yeah. Although I do a bit of everything really. It's just really exciting every day to go to the studio and not really be sure what you're going to be doing. So at the moment I'm messing about with ceramics. Underlying the work is always the same sort of questions, the same research into the body, not the figure. It's something very different. It's more about the relationship between the tactile and the visual, you know, the combination of how those things interact. This work is particularly fun for me and interesting to make because it's really taking that sort of figurative sculpture and just deconstructing it. Whenever it's been depicted throughout anatomical history, it's always the male body that we're seeing because that female interior is so much more taboo. With these pieces, it's really, you know, trying to balance that male bias. I like a white room. There's nothing wrong with that. The pink has got that kind of feeling of, you know, it might be domestic living room space, or you know, it's kind of a little bit bodily. It's got that maybe a weird girl's bedroom kind of feeling to it. It's something you can't quite put your finger on it, but it's a different kind of space. I don't intend to like shock people really, and I don't intend to unsettle people either. And the interesting thing about when you're working with the body, if you do kind of adjust something just a wee bit, you know, it really does have the potential to unsettle people. That's just the kind of natural thing, because it's almost like, you know, it's your bodily space, and when you find yourself in that space with something that's a little bit off, then you kind of notice your own body a bit more. Most of us know someone with at least one of these figurines, so usually it's a great aunt or a granny. So they have that, you know, I'm working with that familiarity, so, you know, to almost gain the trust of the viewer that this is something that they know, it's something familiar, and then once they're up close seeing what's special about these things, why they're here, that's when they see that they've been manipulated, slightly altered. They make much more sense this way after I've manipulated them, added all their fleshy bits. They're so ridiculous beforehand, these women, anatomically impossible, perfect, like whiter than white, you know, they're just impossible. So to me, they're much more human and realistic, and yeah, make much more sense. After people see this work, usually they go away and they notice these kind of objects just in their own homes or when they're out and about. You know, they notice them more, and you know, it makes people think of them a little bit differently. And I do get a lot of people getting in touch, wanting to send me their ornaments that they have for me to change, because I think they agree that it makes more sense afterwards.